Another big story we've been following today, of course, Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe was in Jagersfontein. This is following that deadly dam wall collapse on Sunday. He was meeting with community members and disaster management teams. Let's go back to eNCA reporter Manqoba Mchunu following that for us this afternoon. Hello to you, Manqoba. Let's come to you now. I saw just off air a moment ago. My understanding is that was someone involved with the mine itself. If I have that wrong, please correct me and also tell me what the minister had to say as well.
Well, indeed, Gareth, there's been quite a lot of engagements between the Minister of Mineral Resources as well as the mine over what had happened here. Of course, he went to see firsthand at the scene in Charlesville just to look at the devastation that had occurred there and also just engaging some of the community members around what had happened, just to understand, the events that led to that particular collapse of the dam wall on Sunday evening and on Sunday morning, rather, Gareth. And of course, from some of those engagements, I think one of the things that also came out was some of the grievances that we heard as far as community members are concerned, where they say that they have been raising these issues with the mine. They've also been protesting over years about issues that are happening, concerned of course about issues of safety at the mine. And just a short while ago, the minister confirming that there will now be an inquiry, a formal inquiry that will look into what had happened there, where witnesses will also be called to give testimony, and also a report will then be compiled as to what really transpired in that particular incident. But what the Minister of Mineral Resources, though, Gareth, did say is that as a department, their hands were really tied as far as intervening in what was happening in this particular plant. He says that there was a judgment in 2007 that essentially prohibited them and said that they cannot, involve themselves when it comes to tailings dam and the maintenance of tailings dam. And so as a department, they really could not intervene because they would have been in contempt of court if they were to continue with that. And I see Mr. De Villiers is still here. Perhaps I just want to try and, speak to him and see if we can speak to him. He represents the mine, of course, and he was also part of this engagement. Because the issue, Gareth, that many of the community members are raising is as far as the issue of responsibility is concerned, the far as issue of accountability is concerned, because they are saying that these are issues that they've long been trying to ventilate. These are issues that they've tried to raise over the years, but they're saying that all of those issues and all of their requests have fallen on deaf ears. But Mr. Morris here is saying that as a company, they are willing, of course, to take accountability for that. Mr. Morris, if I can just grab you just fast, I know that you're rushing. But we're live on eNCA. Just as far as the mine is concerned, will you be taking any accountability for this?
Yeah, the mine will. Just want to correct you again. It's not a mine. It's a processing plant. But yeah, they were operational and the mine's got it. The plant has got to take liability.
But Mr. Morris, how did we get here? Because community members are saying that there were warning signs, they were raising these issues to you, but nothing was done.
Look, community members, with respect, are not engineers. We had our engineering reports done and all that was done and put in place, and everything was done according to that. So I can show you pictures 4 days before the time of that specific wall that broke. You won't be able to recognize. So how they did, I'm not sure.
There are some who are saying that this might be gross negligence on the part of the mine. What do you say to that?
Well, if there is so, then obviously we'll have to wait for the investigation to be completed and for the necessary steps to be taken. Then if that is so, we must handle it, and government will obviously, and the departments will act according to that.
What steps are you taking currently to ensure that you get to the bottom of this?
We've got a full team of engineers. Department of Water Affairs engineers were here as well. We keep getting independent engineers, and there will obviously be an inquiry from our side as well, a full inquiry that will reach a decision on this.
And just finally, Mr. Morris, in terms of the department saying that the issue of oversight is not really their issue, how do we prevent an accident like this going forward? Because community members are saying that they saw this coming. There were signs that this was happening, but you as a company are saying that you didn't see anything.
Well, obviously, and I think there's legislation on all these type of operations. I mean, we had the Water Act that was applicable to this operation. And according to your water use license, for instance, in this regard, we had to do tests, and those tests were done. So, it may be a bit stricter. I mean, it's not for me to decide on what to do. I can only say that we complied with what was requested of us.
And when last was that compliance done in terms of checking the levels of water? Because, again, community members are saying that it was high for a number of years.
Look, the situation that it was high, I mean, we had one of the biggest rainfall years last year in this region. But the limit is 5 meters, what they call it, a breakback, area that you got to have on the inside of the dam, and that was done. At that stage, I'm talking actually about when the break occurred, it was 5 meters the level between the water and the top of the dam.
Okay, well, thank you for speaking to us. I know you're rushing for time, and we really press you there. Thank you for giving us a moment. Well, that was Morris de Villiers speaking on behalf of Jagersfontein Development. Of course, this is the company that has been overseeing the processing at that mine. When the mine was closed, we recall that it was sold by DBS in 2010 to a consortium in which Jagersfontein Development is part of. There were other companies that also came into the frame in terms of ownership, being the major shareholders. One of them was Renewed Investments, which we understand sold its assets earlier this year in April to a company in Dubai, which is known as Star Gems, that is now also part of this ownership of this particular processing plant. He says it's not a mine, but it is a processing plant where they process those tailings that came out or emanated from the mining that had taken place in this particular place. But the mine saying that, Gareth, they will take a full responsibility for what has occurred in this particular tragedy.
Yeah, and it's good news to hear as well, as far as the companies involved coming out, taking responsibility, willing to work with authorities. But in the end as well, residents are going to want to know, how do we stop this happening in future? And those residents affected now, what sort of recourse are they going to have? Manqoba Mchunu, thank you very much indeed. We'll come back to you again late in the day as that story continues to develop very quickly here on eNCA. We'll stay on top of that for you. Now, coming up in just a moment.